Hello lovelies, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this open comfy slippers that you can wear around the house, and you can make your own pair. Yes, so please do subscribe to my channel and do turn on the notification button so that you can see more of my videos. I'm still a very small YouTuber, so if you subscribe, it would mean the world to me, so please do subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start. So to begin, I'm going to do a slip knot. I'm going to take my yarn, wrap it on my finger, form an X like this, and on the other side it's going to form two parallel lines. I'm going to take my hook, put it beneath the first yarn but on top of the second one. Then I'm going to use my hook and I'm going to pull going to the back like that. Then I'm going to tighten everything, and that's a slip knot. Now after that I'm going to chain, what we call chaining. So I'm going to hold my hook like a knife like this, and this is a size 6mm hook, and I'm using t-shirt yarn. I'm going to hold it like a knife like this. I'm going to let my yarn hang on this finger, and I'm going to hold it in place with my finger like this. Then with this finger and this finger I'm gonna hold this part. Okay, sometimes I hold it in place with this little finger, so it just depends on whichever is easier for you. Okay, so with this finger and this finger I'm going to hold the part that I'm going to crochet. I'm going to move my hook forwards, go up a little bit, then turn my hook to face down. Then I'm going to pull it to go to the back, passing through that loop, and that is what we call chaining. So that's my first chain. I'm going to move my hook again forwards, I go up a little bit, turn my hook to face down, and move backwards, passing through that loop, and that is what we call chaining. So I'm going to chain, I need 19 chains, so I've done 2, so let me do 17 more chains and come back. Okay, so I've done 19 chains. So this is my first stitch and this is my second stitch. So I'm going to ignore the first one and I'm going to go into the second one. I'm going to insert my hook there, and once I insert my hook I'm going to grab some yarn, twist my hook and go through with that yarn, and now I have 2 loops on my hook. So once I have 2 loops on my hook, I'm going to grab yarn again and I'm going to pass this yarn through both these loops, and that is what we call single crochet. So I've done one, I'll do another one slowly with you. Insert my hook into the next stitch, grab some yarn with my hook, face my hook face down, and move backwards, passing through that stitch. And now I have 2 loops on my hook, and I'm going to grab some yarn again, twist my hook to face down, and I'm going to pass through both loops like this, and that is a single crochet. So I've done 2, I'm going to do 8 more because I need 10 single crochets for the first I need 10 single crochets. I've done the 8 single crochets plus the 2 to give me 10 single crochets. I'll write the pattern in my description box, so please do check that. Next I'm going to do 1 half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over like this. That is what I've just did, it's yarning over, and I'm going to put my hook into the next stitch. Then I'm going to grab some yarn and pass through that loop. So now I have 3 loops on my hook, and I'm going to grab yarn again and pass through all of these 3 loops, and that is called a half double crochet. Right, next I'm left with now 7 stitches. So in the next 7 stitches I'm going to do what we call double crochets. So to do that I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, grab some yarn, and now I have 3 loops, but we're going to make it different this time. I'm going to grab some yarn and pass through the first 2 loops. Now you're going to see, because we've passed that yarn, it created another loop, so now we have 2 loops left. I'm going to grab some yarn again and pass through the next 2 loops, and that is a double crochet. So I'm going to do 6 more off camera and come back. Okay, so I've done the the rest of the doubles, rest of the double crochets, I do 7. So I did 1 on camera and I did 6 off camera, so it should look something like this. Okay, next what I'm going to do, into the same space where I did the last double crochet here, I'm going to do 5 double crochet in that space. So yarn over, insert my hook in there, grab some yarn, and I'm going to pass through the first 2 and the next 2, and that is the first, sorry, double crochet. So if I continue working in this space, so I've done 1, I need to do 4 more. But what I have found is that if I tighten this yarn and I put this yarn to the back, and I still work in the same loop, however, as if I have put this yarn to the back almost. So yarn over, insert your hook into that same space and do the second, so it's really tight, second double crochet, pull that yarn, do 3 more into the same space. Sorry. So I've done 1, this is the third one, the third double crochet. Okay, so into the same space I'm going to do 2 more and come back. Okay, so I've done the rest of the double crochets, so I've done 5 in total. So this is the crown of the shoe. So after this, we're now working on the other side, this side. So I'm going to do 6 double crochets into the next 6 stitches. So this is the first one. Okay, so I've done 1 double crochet. I'm gonna do 5 more. I'm going to do the second one with you. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, the next stitch, grab some yarn, and now I have 3 loops. Pass the yarn through the first 2 loops, grab the yarn and pass through the second 2 loops, and that's the second double crochet. So I'm going to do 4 more and come back, 4 more double crochets. Okay, so I've done the double crochets. Next I'm going to do 1 half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, in there, grab some yarn, and I'm going to grab some yarn and pass through all the 3. Right, next I'm going to do 10 single crochets going down. So I'll do the first 2 with you, insert my hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn, 2 loops, then I'm going to grab the yarn and pass through both loop, and that's a single crochet. I'll do another one, insert my hook into the next stitch, grab some yarn, pass it through, and I have 2 loops, grab yarn again and pass through the second 2. So I have 2 single crochets. I'm going to do 8 more and come back. Okay, so your shoe should be looking something like this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the next stitch, insert my hook there, sorry, just into the, hold on, just want to put my hook. Okay, so I put my hook into the next stitch. I'm going to grab some yarn, pass it through like that, and I have 2 loops, but this time I'm not going to do a single crochet. I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I'm going to slip this loop into this loop like this. Okay, after that I'm going to chain 1. This chain 1, I'll consider it as a stitch, so I'm going to skip the next stitch and I'm going to do single crochets. So I'll skip this one, then into the next stitch. After I've skipped, I'm going to do 1 single crochet like that. So I've done 1. I'm going to do 9 till I get to the part where we do the half. So I'm going to do 9 more, come back. Okay, so after doing the single crochets, I'm going to do 1 half double crochet. So yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, grab some yarn. Now I have 3 loops and grab some yarn, pass through all 3 loops. That is a half double crochet. and after that I'm going to do 7 double crochets. So insert yarn over, I'll do the first one with you, yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, and when I'm saying next stitch, I mean below this 2 V's. Set my hook there, grab some yarn, and now I have 3 loops. I'm going to grab some yarn, pass through the first 2, and grab some yarn and pass through the second 2 and that second 2, and that's a double crochet. So I've done 1. Let me do 6 more double crochets and come back. Okay, so after doing the double crochets, we've reached the part where we did the 5 double crochets the other time, and this is our crown. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to count 1, 2. Into the first 2 stitches I'm going to do 2 double crochets in each of the stitches, so 2 in here and 2 in here. So yarn over, set my hook there, that's the first double crochet, and I'm going to do another one in the same spot. So that's the 2 double crochets in the first stitch. I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the second stitch, and I come back. Okay, so now I'm at the 3rd stitch now of this next stitch. I'm going to do 3 double crochets into this stitch, into one stitch. So yarn over, that's the first double crochet. So I'm going to do 2 more in the same stitch, and I come back. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm left with 2 stitches of the crown, so I'm going to do 2 double crochets in this stitch and 2 double crochets in this stitch. So in the next 2 stitches you're going to do 2 double crochets in each of the stitches. So I'll do the first one with you. So yarn over, set your hook there. Now we have 3. That's the first double crochet. I'm going to yarn over again and do another one in the same stitch, like that, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and I come back. Okay, so I'm done. So if you count your stitches from here to the part where we started doing the crown, which is here, there should be 11 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's your crown. Next we're going to do 6 double crochets going down. So we're going to do 6 double crochets. I'll do the first one with you. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pass your yarn through the first 2, pass your yarn through the second 2. So I've done 1. I'll do 5 more, and I come back. Okay, so I've done the double crochets. Now next I'm going to do 1 half double crochet. So in the next stitch, yarn over, set my hook in the next stitch, grab some yarn. I have 3 loops, and I'm going to grab some yarn and pass through all 3. Right, so after doing this half double crochet, take a stitch marker and mark this stitch. If you don't have a stitch marker, just use a piece of yarn just to mark this point. Then after that you're going to do 8 single crochets. So I'll do the first one with you. Insert my hook in the next stitch, grab some yarn. I have 2 loops, and I'm going to pass my yarn through both loops like that. So let me do 7 more single crochets, and I come back. Okay, so after doing the single crochets, please do count from here. You must have 8 single crochets. Then after that I'm going to count 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in these next 5 stitches I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each of these stitches. So let me do the first 2 with you. So this is the first single crochet. I'll insert my hook into the same spot again, and I'll do a second single crochet. So I'm doing 2 single crochets in one stitch. So I've done 2 single crochets in the one stitch, so I'm going to do 2 single crochets in the next 4 stitches, and that is to create the crown at the back of the sew. So let me do that, and I come back. Okay, so after doing the those two single crochets in the 5 stitches. Now you're going to do single crochets all the way till the part where we did the half double crochet, the part where we marked. So I'm going to do the single crochets and I'll come back. Let me just do 2 with you. Set my hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the yarn, and I'm going to pull through like this. Do another one, set my hook in the, grab some yarn, pass it through both loops. So I'm going to do single crochets all the way to here and come back. Okay, so I've reached the part where I put the stitch marker, and now I can remove the stitch marker because I've done a stitch in there. Now from there I'm going to do 9 single crochets. So you're going to continue and you're going to do 9 single crochets, and I come back after that. Okay, so after the 9 single crochets, do 2 more. So 1, 2. Then you're going to go into your next stitch, insert your hook in there, you're going to grab some yarn, pass it through, and you're going to do a slip stitch. So you're going to slip this loop into this loop, just like this, and you're going to chain. Then you cut your yarn. I don't want to cut this yarn. Then you cut your yarn. If you feel this is like too thin for your foot or too lean, you can do another round of single crochets to make it more wider, but I find this is okay for me. Yeah, okay. Just to give you an idea, this is me wearing it when it's finished. Yeah, so for me, I don't need to do an extra round, but if you think that your feet is extra, I don't know, wider than mine, then you can do another round of single crochets. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the video. Hello lovelies, in this part of the video I'm going to show you how I attach the soles together. So I've made another one exactly the same as that other one, so let me just show you how I do it. So what I do, I put them literally one on top of the other, and I want this yarn here, the one that's hanging, the other one I just cut it, I didn't cut one, so I want this one to be down under my sole. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in the same stitch, this stitch, yes, and I'm going to grab it and pull that yarn down. Grab it with my hook and pull that yarn down because I want it under the sole before I begin. I'm just going to pull it like this. Okay, so now that I've got my yarn under the sole where I want it to be, I'm going to take my hook, insert into the next stitch, and also insert it into the next stitch. The top sole and the sole that's under it, I'm going to align them. Put my hook under there, grab some yarn, pass it through. Right, I'm going to go into the next stitch, pass through both stitches on top and the bottom, grab some yarn, pass it through, and now I have 2 loops. So these 2 loops, I'm going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to pass this loop into this loop, so I'm going to insert it there like that. Then I'm going to go into the next stitch on top and into the next stitch below, grab some yarn, pass it through both like that. Now I have 2 loops, and I'm going to pass this loop into this loop, so I'll be doing a slip stitch. So what it does, it creates a horizontal, nice sort of like a horizontal single crochet. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to slip stitch again. So this is the slip stitches that I've done, and I have attaching the shoe. So now I'm going to do this all over the shoe and all around the shoe, and I'll come back. Okay, so I've gone around my sole doing these are the slip stitches. So now this is the last stitch. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull the stitch a little bit, and I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch all the way to the back, grab that yarn so that it comes up. 3, do it again, insert my hook into the next stitch, grab some yarn, pull it up, then you pull it like this. Now this yarn, I'm going to put it into this stitch, just through this stitch, just like that. Okay, that's it, and I'm going to take it down. So into the next stitch, grab it, grab that yarn, pull it down. Okay, once it's down, you can simply tuck it inside your shoe. So this is what you do, how you attach the sole. It's quite sturdy. Okay, so now in the next part, I'm going to show you how you're going to attach this and how we do this. So let me show you that, how I did the top part and how I attach it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how to make the top part. Right, so we made this, so we're going to put it aside and I'll show you how I made this. So to begin, I'm going to do a slip knot. I'm going to wrap my yarn on my finger. One side has an X and the other has 2 parallel lines, and insert my hook under the first yarn, and put it on top of the second one and pull. That's a slip knot. Then after that, I'm going to chain 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do the rest and come back. Okay, so I've done my 14 chains. So after that, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Into the third stitch, I'm going to first yarn over and set my hook in there and grab some yarn, so that I have 3 loops, and I'm going to grab some yarn and pass my yarn through all of the 3, and this is a half double crochet. So I'll be doing half double crochets all the way. I'll do it one more time. Yarn over, set my hook into the next stitch, grab some yarn. Now I have 3 loops, grab some yarn and pass through all 3 loops like that. So that's a half double crochet. So I'm going to do half double crochets all the way, then I'll just show you how to turn. Okay, so I've done single crochets all the way. I put nail polish so that my hands will look cute, but they're not looking cute at all. Anyway, so I finished the first round of single crochets, and what I'm just going to do, I'm going to chain 1, 2, and that is how you turn. And you start again, yarn over into that first stitch, you do your first half double crochet there. So you're going to continue to do that. You do it all the way, then you chain 2 at the end, then you do half double crochets again. So you're going to do 6 rows to get to this height. So you're going to do 6. So that's what I did to get to this size. Then let me just do one more, then I'll just show you how you pull your yarn at the end. Okay, so I've just finished that other row. So let's say we've done the 6 rows and you just want to know, so how do I finish it? You just chain 1, then you cut your yarn, then you pull the yarn, and that's it. Okay, I don't want to cut this yarn because I'm using it for another project. So that's it for the top part. Okay, so now we move on to attaching the top part to the shoe. So now what I'm doing, I am leaving my crown out. You know, it's an open shoe, so if you look closely here, this is when we're doing 2 double crochets in 1 stitch, so that's where my crown starts. And this side also, you can also see where we did the 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. So that's my crown. It starts from here all the way to here, and it should be 11. So if I count from here to here, it's 11. If I count from here to here, it's 11 stitches. So then after that, since I did 6 rows, I'm going to work in 6 stitches going down from here, going down the same from here, going down, only in 6 stitches. Okay, so how do I do that? You know, my thing doesn't have straight edges. So now what I'm going to do, you see this, you can also see it here and here and here and here. This is where I'm going to put the stitches when I'm attaching. So here, 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 and here. Okay, so this is where I'm going to attach. So let me show you how I do that. Okay, so let's start attaching. So what I'm going to suggest is that leave a little bit when you cut your yarn at the end, leave a little bit so that you use that to do the other side of the shoe when you're attaching. Okay, so I'm going into my first stitch after the stitch marker, which is this one. I'm going on top of those single crochets, of those slip stitches that we did earlier, and I'm just going to grab yarn and pull it through. Pull it through like that. Now I'm going to go in there, in the first stitch, just go under there, right? I'm going to grab my yarn again and pull it again back where it was. This is just to fasten it at the first stitch, right? And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to go under that first stitch, right? I'm gonna grab some yarn and pull that yarn through. So I'm kind of like mimicking sewing, but with a crochet hook. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the next stitch, this one. I'm going to grab some yarn, pass it through that stitch, pull my yarn, and after that, remember I said I'm going to be working in this where I have this kind of lines. So I'm going to insert my hook in here, and I'm going to grab that yarn, pass it through. So I've passed it through. I'm going to insert my hook into that same second stitch, and I'm going to grab this yarn. Grab yarn, grab the yarn and pass it through. Go down with it and pull. Okay, so afterwards I'm going to go into now my third stitch, the next stitch, and I'm going to pull some yarn through. Sorry, it's a little bit tight. Grab the yarn and pull it. Pull. Okay, so now I'm going to go into this where I have this. I'm going to set my hook here and pull my yarn from under there, going to the top. Right, now I'm going to turn my thing, insert my hook into the same stitch, the third stitch, and grab some yarn from the top and go down with it, then pull. Okay, now I'm going to go into the next stitch, which is the fourth stitch. Now set my hook under there, grab the yarn, pull it through that stitch and pull. Okay, so now I'm targeting this part. This is the fourth. I'm going to insert my hook in there. I'm going to grab my yarn, grab my yarn from under there and pull it to the top. Turn my thing, right, and I'm going to put my hook under the 4th stitch again. Sorry, under the 4th stitch, and I'm going to grab this yarn from the top and go down with it. Then I'm gonna pull. So I'm going to continue until I finish the side and I come back. Because I've reached the end. What I want to do, I just want to, you see there's a little space here. I'm going to insert my hook in there. I'll go into the, I've done the 6. I just want to attach this so that it's really snug. So I'm going to attach it to the next stitch. Pull yarn through both. Same thing. And pass it through. After this, I'm going to pull this yarn down and I'm going to cut. Then I'll do the same on the other side. So let me do that and come back. So I did the other part of the shoe. So both sides are done. I just wanted to show you how you tuck it in. The other side I didn't show you, and I don't know. I don't want people being confused at some point. So let me just tuck it so that you see. Then yeah. So when we do the last stitch with, you know, then you insert your hook, you're going to go from below and you're going to tuck that yarn all the way down. Pull. Okay, so you have 2 options. You can go this way, tuck it this way, or tuck it this way. I'm gonna tuck. You can remove the stitch markers now. I'll just do 2 so that you see. So we're down there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the next stitches from the top. See where I'm at? Then I'm going to grab that yarn, pull it all the way up. Right, and I'm going to go to the next stitch from down there, and I'm going to pull this down. So this will make your yarn quite invincible, and you can tuck it as many times as you want. Then you cut it. So let me just tuck the rest, and I cut, then I come back. Yes, I've tucked everything now. So this is how the shoe is looking like. So really gorgeous. You can wear it around the house. It's really comfortable. You can make another one. These do not have sides, so you can make another one exactly like this. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do subscribe to this channel. Thank you.